The first item on the order paper is questions addressed to the Deputy President. Honorable members, as you know, you may press the talk button on your desk if you wish to ask supplementary questions. The first question has been asked by the Honorable Zulane to the Honorable Deputy President. Deputy President?
Honorable Madam Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. The question on social cohesion, the most effective way to promote social cohesion amongst our people is to address those issues that militate against the achievement of social cohesion and those issues that continue to divide communities, that contribute to the prevalence of mistrust and that undermine a sense of social solidarity. This, in many ways, goes to the heart of what this administration is all about. If we want to advance social cohesion, we have to do a number of things, and some of those are to address the issue of poverty, unemployment, and inequality, because in many ways these impede the achievement of social cohesion. We therefore need to accelerate economic growth and critically ensure that the benefits of growth are equitably shared by all. Many of our people need jobs. We need to reduce inequality. We need to tackle exclusion that is based on race, gender, age, and disability. Our country needs to address landlessness and homelessness and overcome the apartheid spatial divisions. The challenges we face require us to also combat and confront a number of diseases, such as HIV and AIDS and tuberculosis in particular. And Madam Speaker, in many ways, we are tuberculosis in particular. And Madam Speaker, in many ways, are applauded worldwide. We are doing a lot to combat crime and the abuse of elderly women and children. We are doing a lot to combat racism and xenophobia because these perpetuate divisions and fuel conflict. We continue to take steps to address corruption in both the public and private sectors, which erodes confidence and trust. There is now a pressing need to enjoin our people to work together to enable South Africa to promote higher levels of growth and employment and reduce poverty and inequality. On the issue of compacts, as asked in the question, there are a number of compacts that already exist, and there are a number of social compacts that are in formation. The social dialogue process that is currently underway in NEDLAC, that is meant to deal with the issue of the instability in the labor market and also to tackle income inequality, could eventually become part of a broader social compact. And we are hopeful that the social partners involved in NEDLAC will be able to advance in that direction. There are similar multi-stakeholder engagements that are also taking place in basic education, in land reform, in agriculture, human settlements, and elsewhere. These need to be welcomed and encouraged as there are efforts that are organic amongst our people to try and enhance social cohesion. Thank you.
The Honorable Zulane.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Deputy President. I am in full agreement with your response. We seem to be losing the solidarity in South Africa, which we gained during the 2010 FIFA World Cup tournament. And we are seeing racist incidents increasing, such as the UCT student that urinated on the head of a black man and sees absolutely nothing wrong, that horrific and despicable act. How do we encourage individuals and communities in becoming active citizens in transforming our society and building a nation on a foundation of solidarity? I thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
One of the issues that the National Development Plan highlights is to engage the citizens of our country in a project of nation building to enhance social cohesion. And the National Development Plan enjoins or seeks to enjoin our people on citizen activism, so that the citizens of our country must recognize that they do not only enjoy the rights that are enshrined in our Constitution, but that they also have responsibilities. And they have responsibilities to deal with the ills of our past. The ills of our past, such as racism, such as exclusion, such as the exploitation of people and inequality. Now, these are projects that the government of our country has decided to embark on to try and close the fissures of the past and make sure that we build a nation. Having started from 1994, I'd like to believe that a lot of progress has been made. The founding father of our democracy, Nelson Mandela, called upon us to reconcile, and that project is still underway. And there will be reverses from time to time, which we need to deal with and tackle. But we are fortunate in that we have a constitution that enshrines values and principles that can continue to bind us together as a nation. And wherever there are challenges, we have various structures of the state that can help us address those, the courts, Human Rights Commission, and a whole number of other structures. The project of building a South African nation needs to gather speed because we must deliver a democratic and a non-racial and a non-sexist South Africa. This is what we are all called upon to deliver. Thank you.
The Honorable Reverend Mishwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Deputy President, I'm more interested in knowing how sports can be used to achieve social cohesion in the country. When one looks at what happened during the Rugby World Cup, the nation came together. During the Soccer World Cup, again, people from outside marveled at how South Africans could stand together. Now, when one looks at what happened during apartheid, where there was skill among the colored Indians and white people, great soccer players, and there was a soccer league called the South African Football Association, Transvaal Indian Football Association, South African Colored Football Association, and so on. And all these associations had very, very highly skilled people of different race groups. Now, it seems that we have lost those skills because many that were in Natal, KwaZulu-Natal, who are skilled are not seen today because it's like soccer is now for black people only. So what can we do to ensure that all skillful people from different race groups can come together so that it will not just be a once-off event during a World Cup, but that continually South African skilled players, regardless of their background, racial background, can come together towards achieving social achievements. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Madam Speaker and Honorable Reverend Mishwe, sports is indeed a very important aspect or issue that we can build a nation around. And indeed, the government of our country has embarked on a number of programs, a number of initiatives, a number of projects that are being ably led by our Minister of Sport. And indeed, at the cultural level, Many other initiatives are underway that are also being ably led by our Minister of Culture and Mr. Nati Mtetwa, and together, and a number of other cabinet colleagues, they are doing a lot to engender a spirit of social cohesion, utilizing both sports and culture, and indeed it extends to many other areas of our life in education and so forth. Now, with regard to sports, the various steps and initiatives that are being taken are aimed at making sure that our sports people, sportsmen and women, represent the totality of the South African nationhood. And we're trying, and these steps are underway, to ensure that when our sports people play, they are representative. They are seen to be representatives of all our people. And the things that are being done in that regard are admirable in certain of the codes and disciplines, but in others, we still face a number of challenges. The honorable member focuses on the soccer one, but I do know that with regard to soccer, a number of plans and initiatives are being embarked upon, even at a school level, to make sure that soccer is seen as a sport that can unite even young people from a very young age, moving on to the national level as well. The same thing needs to happen with rugby, with cricket, with many other codes. So we have embarked on a number of initiatives in this regard to continue to build a truly South African nation. And this we will continue to do through the programs that our various ministries continue to foster in many, many ways. Thank you.
The Honorable Kasim.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Deputy President, in light of the recent spike in violent incidents of racist, sexist and intolerant attacks in this country, those stoked and perpetuated by both individuals and rogue members of groups such as the Congress of South African Students, COSAS, what is government doing to root out the emergence of groups who rally against the realization of the National Development Plan's ideals of inclusion and social cohesion? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
The government of the Republic of South Africa is committed to making sure that we root out racism in all its facets through the length and the breadth of our country. And if there are individuals, people, or entities or organizations that perpetuate this ugly feature of our past, the government of the Republic will make sure that those who perpetuate this are brought to book. And indeed, we still see a number of incidents such as these. We see, on the farms of our country, many of our people who happen to be black are still treated very badly because they happen to be black, and some of them are even killed. They are maimed and injured, and all these acts need to come to an end. Even in the workplace, some people are still suppressed or oppressed because they happen to be black. So we still have a number of people who are still bent on adhering to racist behavior, and racism still exists within our ranks. Now, we have a wonderful constitution that sets out clear principles and values against this, and we've got various agencies of our government that are ready to take action against people who perpetuate racist acts and activities, and these can be utilized to make sure that we rid our country of any form of racism. So if there are any such incidents that the member is aware of, we can rely on our various agencies in government to rid our country of all these terrible deeds of the past.
The Honorable Mponchane.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. through you to the Honorable Deputy President. Honorable President, social cohesion is sometimes made very, very difficult to achieve by the fact that communities are defined by their political affiliations and therefore becoming partisan in their thinking and in their actions. The question, how is your office assisting to facilitate initiatives which are aimed at political reconciliation among the different political parties? I thank you.
The Honorable Deputy President.
Our office, particularly when you ask the question, Honorable Member, on amongst various political parties, our office, as the leader of government business, has already started on a process of meeting various political parties, particularly those that are represented in Parliament. And indeed, yesterday we did so, and we hope that that initiative will bear fruit as time goes on. But more broadly, our office is determined to make sure that we engender a spirit of cooperation, of collaboration, of working together, not only amongst parties that are here, but more broadly in South African society, so that all of us as South Africans should have a feeling that we are first South Africans than anything else. We must see ourselves as being proud South Africans, committed to the building of a South African nation, a nation that has just emerged from the ravages of apartheid. So we embark on a number of initiatives, and some of which we roll out at a public level, where we go and meet communities, and we meet organizations, and we meet various institutions, and to engender this spirit of oneness, of one South African nationhood, and that we can work together to achieve the goals that are set out and objectives that are set out in our Constitution. Thank you.
Honorable members, I have been informed that question number 10 has been withdrawn at the request of the Leader of the Opposition. We therefore move to question number 11 that has been asked by the Honorable M. Johnson. The Deputy President.
The question on the expanded public works program. The EPWP was established to draw a significant number of poor and unemployed South Africans into productive work in a manner that will enable them to gain skills, to increase their capacity to earn income. The Department of Public Works conducted a midterm review of phase 2 of this program in 2012. The study that they embarked on found that the EPWP had a positive impact on the communities where it is being implemented. Many participants in these programs have moved above the poverty line due to the income they received from working in this program. Most participants were unemployed before they were engaged to work in these programs and had been looking for employment for periods running between 3 to 5 years or more. There are various wonderful testimonies of participants who have been interviewed for evaluation studies who show that the EPWP program is indeed making a significant positive impact in their lives. The EPWP program has contributed to the provision of social infrastructure in a number of areas through, among other things, the construction and maintenance of structures such as schools, clinics, magistrates' courts, and prisons. In response to the National Development Plan, the third phase of the EPWP targets the creation of up to 6 million work opportunities between April of 2014 to March of 2019. The program contributes to the NDP in a number of ways. Some of those are it achieves income transfer in the form of wages into poor communities. This not only reduces poverty, but it also forms an economic stimulus targeted directly at poor people. It also creates work opportunities. Those who participate in the work of the EPWP have found that public employment can assist in mitigating the effects of social problems. They build self-esteem and they develop social networks for many of the people. Networks that are able to make people get other opportunities for either work or some gainful activity. The EPWP provides social assets and services that can have transformative impact on development and improve the quality of life in communities. It promotes community participation. The increased emphasis on participatory approaches and the use of non-profit agencies in delivery are helping to build new forms of partnership between government, civil society, and communities. Given the high levels of unemployment in our country and the relative low level of skills, the public employment programs of government are indeed essential in combating poverty and improving the employability of millions of our people. Those who have participated have said some of the skills that they have gained in participating in these programs have stood them in good stead as they have looked for jobs, and some of them have found jobs. So these programs, rather than being derided and being looked down upon, are good platforms and a springboard for many of our people, particularly in the rural areas and in our townships, that enables them to have self-esteem, self-confidence, and be able to benefit from opportunities that may come their way. Thank you.
The Honourable Johnson.
Thank you, Deputy President, for that elaborate response to a very important issue in our society. Whilst we don't take this program for granted, many families have qualitatively changed their lives for the better. Towards further enhancing of the Extended Public Works Program impact in improving our people's lives for the better, how does government seek to promote collaboration of a similar nature in other departments of government and state-owned entities? I thank you, sir.
Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The lessons that we have learned in the EPWP rollout program have truly been invaluable. And the evaluation process that we've gone through in terms of assessing its impact and its effectiveness has really yielded really good lessons for us. It has also shown that what we have learned in this Public Works Department program can actually be expanded to other departments. And indeed, other departments like the Environmental Department or Ministry also participates in this. There is a program that deals with working for water, where a number of our people, particularly in the rural areas, are drawn into these programs and are able to gain jobs, useful economic activity, that is, get an income, but also work in their own areas and environments with regards to taking out invasive plants and being connected to the environment. And in a number of areas, the Social Welfare Department has also embraced this type of activity with regards to getting people to work in communities and caring for others in our communities, and a number of community workers have actually been created and generated through this very program. So this program should never be seen as a standalone silo type of program. It is a program that is expandable, and indeed it is being expanded in a number of areas, and state-owned enterprises can also benefit in this as state-owned enterprises also roll out with regard to procurement and engage a number of either entities or our people who are organized in communities. The cooperative movement is also participating in this process, and therefore the hands and the arms of this program can be quite widespread as to be able to engage our people economically in gainful activity. So this program, and let's say that a number of governments around the world do embark on public employment programs. But in our country, we have really charted a new path. And many countries in the world are coming here to learn how we have implemented this type of program. In many ways, our implementation of public works has become world-class because it has spread out through various communities, and it now involves not only building roads and digging trenches and closing them, it is actually involved in doing meaningful work in improving and building our communities. Thank you.
The Honorable Machobeni.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We hold a strong view that the expanded public works campaign has not necessarily impacted much on the lives of the poor people of our country, especially in terms of job creation, poverty alleviation, and addressing inequalities. But if the Deputy President holds a different view on this matter, can you please provide us with the details of such impact, addressing specific challenge mentioned here, e.g. poverty? I thank you.
The Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. What I have been outlining in regards to the impact of this program is not a thumbsuck. It's not something that I have dreamt up. An independent evaluation process was embarked upon by independent people, and they have evaluated the impact of our expanded public works program. And those who have evaluated it have said that South Africa has a number of lessons to teach many other countries in the world with regard to the way we have gone about implementing our public works program. And when the government says we are going to create 6 million work opportunities up to 2019, this is not a pipe dream. In the past administration, we were able to create millions of job opportunities. And admittedly, these are not permanent jobs. They are not permanent jobs, they are job opportunities, and they are not sort of full-time jobs for the whole year. They do tend to occupy our people for a number of months in the year, and those who participate in these opportunities, and a number of them have been interviewed, a number of them have on record, either on paper, on radio, on TV, have said these programs have been life-changing in as far as they are concerned. And with regard to the way they have gained, they say they have enabled them to either be prepared for jobs, for job opportunities, full-time job opportunities. They have given them an income where an income did not exist in the past, and they have lifted their own self-esteem. Now, these are important gains, which we should never look down upon. We should never just dismiss them out of hand. These programs are making an impact. There is a temptation in our country to look at everything that, say, the government is doing very negatively, and this is one of those programs that is clearly making a direct impact on poor people, people who have nothing, people who have no jobs, and people who are living under very difficult conditions. Those people who have participated in these programs speak highly of the EPWP program, and indeed, the issue of reducing inequality is a huge challenge for all of us as South Africans, and what is pleasing is that the government of the Republic is working continuously to reduce inequality, unemployment, and also poverty in our country. The various steps that have been taken by the government of the Republic of South Africa are aimed at improving the lives of our people. And EPWP has been doing precisely that, and it has touched many lives. And in the next 5 years, it intends to touch 6 million lives. Thank you.
The Honorable Sithole.
Mama Somlomo, siyabonga ma. Honorable Deputy President, have all 278 of municipalities now reached the criteria of eligibility grant funding in respect of EPW rollout projects? And how do we prevent municipalities from using EPWP MAC funds to day-to-day municipality expenses and maintenance projects? In respect of vision of NDP, particularly in transforming society and uniting the country, as a leader of government business, how do you ensure that the people are not being employed just by showing ruling party's membership cards?
The Honorable Deputy President.
I'm not aware that municipalities will be using their grants for EPWP work for various other municipal expenses or projects or programs. My information is that the funds that are deployed for EPWP work are clearly targeted, and they are meant to focus on those projects and people who are employed or engaged in EPWP programs have a targeted budget and targeted projects. How are we going to make sure that in relation to, say, NDP, we're not using these to foster party political purposes or projects? Clearly, that has never been the intention of EPWP programs or projects. They are meant to benefit the mass of our people wherever they are implemented. Party political affiliation should never really and is never really the determinant of whether one participates or not. They are meant for our people as a whole, and that is why they are having such a wonderful impact. Thank you.
The Honorable George.
Thank you, Chairperson. By the end of this year, the government's wage bill for the country's nearly 1 million civil servants will amount to 439 billion rand, or about 39% of total non-interest government expenditure. This is far higher than last year's average of 22% for other emerging markets. With the country's struggling economic growth figures and with cuts to public expenditure unavoidable and in fact necessary over the next year, how will government adjust spending on the EPWP to focus on facilitating a more open economic environment that can create and sustain real jobs and not just job opportunities? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
The budget that is presented to Parliament by the Minister of Finance, if the Honourable Member has checked out, does include a clearly set out amount for EPWP programs. And EPWP programs should never be seen as impeding the government's ability to spend money or to embark on other programs. And we all agree that the challenge of unemployment is a challenge that faces all of us. It faces government, it faces communities, it faces the private sector, and all role players in our economy are called upon to play their role in making sure that there is job creation. And job creation is not the exclusive terrain of either government or the private sector or communities. all of us need to play a key role. So I'm not aware that EPWP programs or budgeted amounts actually impede the creation of jobs. And in fact, that is not the case. We are committed to creating jobs. We are committed to engaging our people in economic activity. And some of that activity will be through public works programs. And some will be through proper full-time job creation. And we are going to be doing precisely that. And that is the economic thrust that we have as a government. Thank you.
The last question has been asked by the Honorable Tlowama. And I now call upon the Honorable Deputy President.
Members of the executive are collectively and individually accountable to Parliament. That is beyond any debate. And this is both in terms of the Constitution and in terms of the rules of the National Assembly. I regularly report to Cabinet on the status of questions that are submitted to members of the executive. This is part of Cabinet's collective commitment to ensure that members of the executive fulfill their responsibility to account to Parliament. The attendance or absence of members of the executive in National Assembly plenaries are a matter of public record, and such records can be obtained by the honourable member. To my knowledge, the members of the executive are fulfilling their obligations to respond to questions in the National Assembly. If the honourable member has information about any member of the executive who are not doing so, I would be grateful if those can be forwarded. Thank you.
The Honorable Tlowama.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Deputy President. Your words are encouraging. I hope all honorable ministers will apply a stoic and Spartan habits with a visionary intelligence and know that they occupy positions of responsibility at a very critical time of our young democracy. Therefore, serve with an attitude of generosity and know that being a minister is not a status or victory of some sort, but the servant of the people.
Honorable Deputy President.
I can give assurance that all members of the executive that I have the privilege of serving with do not see themselves as occupying those positions as of right. They see themselves as servants of the people. They are there because they did not necessarily wish to be there. They were appointed to be servants of the people. They were appointed to work for our people. And I'm glad to say, since I have joined this executive, having come from the private sector, I have found a great deal of commitment amongst my colleagues on the executive. I have found that they work extremely hard. They are totally committed to their tasks. And I've also found that they are smart. They know what they are talking about. They know their work. And they were put there because they are well endowed with knowledge, with commitment, and they know their job. Thank you.
The Honorable Nkomo.
Thank you. Thank you to yourself, Madam. May I first start my question by asking the Deputy President, or basically making a statement on the statement between the Deputy President and the leaders of political parties yesterday. I do note that on point 6 on the first page, the statement actually states that is to reaffirm the principle of executive accountability and that all members of the executive are to appear before Parliament as required by the rules. My question to the Deputy President, what would the Deputy President, as leader of government business, deem as an appropriate parliamentary censure or sanction for a minister who, in terms of Rule 109 of the Rules of the National Assembly, misses out on parliamentary question sessions without having any reasonable reason for so doing? Would the Deputy President deem it appropriate for a public name and shame censure in this instance?
Honorable Deputy President.
The issues that were covered in the statement that was released yesterday were an attempt, and let me say and underline, an attempt at addressing some of the challenges that this House faces. It was an attempt, and the extent to which that attempt will have succeeded to address this clearly will be seen either later this afternoon or in time to come. And I had thought that it was a real serious attempt, an attempt that was applauded by many of our people who don't sit in this House. Many of the people who also sit in this House, and they felt that for once an incredible window had been opened for this House to regain its stature, to regain its standing amongst our people as a House that can be respected and a House that makes the laws of our country. And I think that position is in balance this afternoon. It is in balance because it is possible that we may not all have been totally committed to going through with that position. And it fills me with a great deal of regret that, having had the great opportunity of meeting the leaders of our people as represented in Parliament, we now face a situation where we're going to erase this wonderful development which was so well applauded by our people. And I think that is a great pity. Coming back, Madam Speaker, I'm required to stand here and answer questions. I'm not engaging in a debate. And if this is precisely what we sought to address yesterday, that members of the executive ought to be given an opportunity to answer questions, and they must do so. And they must do so in a climate that enables them to answer questions. Now, if this very type of behavior immediately goes against precisely what we were talking about yesterday, what it means is that what we struck yesterday does not hold. It doesn't hold, and if I was engaged in a debate, I would have understood that, yes, there can be heckling and interjections. I have been asked to come here and answer questions. And if I am going to be impeded, Madam Speaker, to answer those questions, then what is the point of having me here to answer the questions? So So all I'm saying is, much as I'm prepared to answer questions, and indeed, my other cabinet colleagues are prepared to come and answer questions, and those who disagree, and indeed, people will always disagree. We will never agree on anything. But those who disagree should then have the opportunity to say, I disagree, rather than impede the one who is supposed to answer questions. And I think,
Honourable Speaker,
that should be the accepted rule and the accepted way of engaging
Honourable
and answering
Mulder,
questions.
excuse me, Deputy President, is that a point of order?
it's a point of order, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
What is the... I'm not the Deputy Speaker.
My apology, ma'am.
It's not the first time. What is the point of order, Honourable Mulder?
Honourable Speaker, it's the first time that I made that mistake.
Okay.
Honourable Speaker, I hear what the Honourable Deputy President is saying. And the Honourable Deputy President says he should be allowed the time to answer the questions. But that's exactly the problem. The question put to the Honourable Deputy President now in a follow-up question was, what is the correct sanction that he proposes in terms of Rule 109?
Honourable Mulder, that's not a point of order.
No, ma'am. It's a valid point of order.
No.
That was the question. The Honourable Deputy President did not answer that question.
Honourable Mulder, that's not a point of order. The Honourable Maimane.
Deputy President, I think you and I can agree that the spirit of what came out yesterday says that we want to affirm the Constitution, we want to affirm the rules of this House, and emanating from the rules of this House is the conversation about accountability. How is that, when you ask for accountability, going against the very agreement we entered into? So the question here is that on the 20th of June, President Jacob Zuma made it quite clear that he was entering into
Order, honourable members.
A culture of accountability, he says. The question that was asked by Honourable Ngom must not be changed. What sanctions must be in place when ministers refuse to arrive? And furthermore, this is the key question. The performance management system or the performance contracts that we hear about have been kept secret. So we don't know if in the secret document that is there that says ministers must appear so often, they are required to be here, not asked. They must be here. It's the same for the president. What sanctions must be in place, and do they break their performance contract is the question. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Deputy President.
Honourable Speaker, before I was interrupted, I was on my way to answering that question. Now I was stopped from answering the question. If the honourable members still want me to answer the question,
please
my
proceed,
answer...
Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you.
I didn't realize you hadn't finished.
I hadn't finished. Thank you for protecting me.
You are protected, Honourable DP.
The issue of the censure that can be applied. Now, the issue is, I report regularly, as I indicated, to Cabinet about both the attendance and the answering of questions by ministers to Cabinet, and I do it every time when Cabinet meets. And I have, through the records that I pick up here, I have seen that there's been a great deal of adherence and indeed improvement with regard to ministers living up to the tasks that they are meant to live up to in answering questions, both written questions and oral questions. Now, if ministers are to slack on that, I am going to be the very first to notice it, and the processes that we go through at the Cabinet level are that those ministers indeed will be accountable first to the cabinet as a whole, and indeed to the president. And of course, lastly, they are accountable to this body. And I have not seen a need at this stage for any censure that needs to be applied against any of our ministers. Our ministers have been doing a good job, so I have not seen any censure.
Honorable Deputy President, I don't know whether you have dealt also with the issues raised by Honorable Maimane.
If that was a question that Honorable Maimane was raising, it was more of a statement than a question. And he was referring more to the would-be agreement that was arrived at yesterday, which we all announced, and an agreement that, in my view, is about to lie in tatters because of what is unfolding now. So it was more of a statement than a question. Thank you.
The Honorable Cartel, Honorable, is it Cartel or Carter?
Can I make a point of order?
What's the point of order, Honorable Maimane?
My question also pertained to performance contracts by ministers. Not the contract only from yesterday, the performance contracts, because they are not made public, was my question. And how we effect accountability is the question, if I can have that.
Honorable Deputy President, do you want to address the issue of the performance?
The performance contracts that ministers entered into between the President and the ministers. And those contracts are signed by the President and the ministers. And in the end, much of what is set out there is set out in the strategic plans of the departments that the ministers oversee. So all that is out there in the open to be seen by everybody. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Carter of Cope.
It's actually Madisha who, put a wrong that thing.
Okay.
May I go
Honorable
on?
Madisha.
Honorable Speaker, you see, the expression to say, I shall do this, and the actual implementation to Deputy President are different. Kindly take it forward and explain to the House that yourself as the actual leader of government business, you will be able to give any attention to ministers supplying answers that are clearly non-answers, delaying responses to questions for weeks on end, and cherry-picking to answer only parts of the question in order that the exercise of accountability is not rendered futile by ministers who are averse to being held accountable. This, I want to say, Mr. Deputy President, we have seen that kind of thing over the past very many months. There is no actual implementation. Very many of them are usually not in the House, and there is this kind of cherry picking that we are talking about. What is it that you are going to do?
Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, the issue of answers or non-answers is a value question, and it really depends on the beholder. And if a question has been asked and an unsatisfactory answer has been given, it behoves on the questioner or that person who asked the question to ask once again for a more direct answer. So that is what I can say to the honourable member, if that will be of any value to the honourable member. The issue of delaying, it may sound or seem like people delay, but quite often ministers, in between many of the other things that they do, also have to gather information, and some of the questions are quite intricate, and they involve having ministers to get the information that has to be provided by their officials. And I have found, to be quite honest, I have found that this does take time. And I would not want Honorable Madisha to think that ministers are running away from answering questions. Quite often, they are actually getting answers and getting the facts so that they can provide correct answers. What I can say is that I have seen many of our ministers, if not all, truly at work, committed to answering questions, and I see it in the records that I evaluate on an ongoing basis. They are a bunch of people, a group of people, a collective of people who are really working hard to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, that concludes questions to the Deputy President. And I thank the Deputy President. We now come to questions to ministers in the governance cluster. The Secretary will, actually the next item is indeed these questions addressed to ministers in the governance cluster. Question number 424 has been asked by the Honorable A.M. Mudau to the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. The Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker, thank you. The response is the following. The Department has supported the establishment of Municipal Public Accounts Committees, or MPACs as they're called, constituted by councillors in the majority of municipalities. The primary purpose of MPACs as an oversight committee of council is to ensure that issues raised by the Auditor General are being addressed by the executive committees, mayoral committees, and the management of municipalities. The Association of Public Accounts Committees conduct training, workshops, seminars periodically with members of MPAC in order to build their capability and also to share experiences on the political responsibilities from the perspective of the kind of structures like SCOPA in Parliament and in provincial legislatures. Capacity building programs for councillors are conducted by the department in partnership with SALGA, the National Treasury, the relevant CETA, regarding the oversight responsibilities of councillors on financial matters. In collaboration with these stakeholders, an induction program will be developed for incoming councillors after the 2016 municipal elections. Thank you.
The Honorable Mudau.
A very good afternoon. It's just gone 2 minutes past the hour, 1600 hours, and this is PM News Live. Let's welcome Colin Lewane and see what's coming up in business. Colin.
Given to us, and also to say to Minister, if this can happen, the South Africa will move forward. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Clearly, there's no question there. Honorable Ntwanambi.
To ensure its recommendations against police are implemented. But IPID says this is not